We never know when a certain moment will present itself that can make a huge difference in someone's life. There are moments, interactions, situations that make such a difference, but we never know when they're going to present themselves. I had an interesting thing happen to me a few months ago. A friend of mine, who I consider now a friend and a patient, named Dean, told me that a number of years ago he worked at a medical office in town, and I had called to talk to one of the doctors there, and Dean happened to answer the phone. And I didn't know Dean, had never met him, and I asked if I could speak to that doctor. And Dean said, "Let me see if I can get him." And I guess Dean went into the room, and the doctor was busy, so he told Dean to said he'd call me back. Well, Dean gets back on the phone, tells me this, and that just made me mad. It made me irritated. So I snapped at Dean because he was the one on the phone. And I was rude and contentious with Dean. Well, it didn't mean anything to me. I didn't even remember it. But literally 15 years later, after I had gotten to know Dean and became his doctor, and I consider him my friend now, he told me this story. And he said, "You know, when that happened that day, I told myself I was never going to go to you as a doctor. But about 10 years passed, and he decided that he would." And I look back on that moment and think, that was a moment that I wasn't prepared for, that I treated him very poorly because I was mad at someone else. And it was a big learning lesson for me. And I think what we have to remember is we never know when the moment of opportunity presents itself. All we can do is be ready when it does, by living our life in a way to be ready. I've told you before, what happens before the fire determines what happens when you're in the fire. A big lesson to learn from me. Always be ready to make a Christ-like impression. I failed for Dean all those years ago, and all I can do now is try to be ready for every opportunity. Moyo, everywhere we go.